And welcome to Let's Fly VFR. Today we're taking out the mighty F-18 Hornet and we're going to see what its performance is like, as we've done already with the F-15 and F-16, and find out where the best speed band is to fly this mighty jet. Certainly one of my favourites. I love flying this thing and I fly it a lot online, so keep an eye on the top right hand corner there and you can see the performance as we go around. Hang out with me to the end because we have the full performance layout at the end, including the EM diagram and what this story told me. Now the jets are all full fuel, no weapons. Full fuel, no weapons for all parts of this as we start. And yes, we burn off fuel as we go through the test and until we get to the end. So we're doing 200, 250, 300, 350, 400, 450 and 500 on this occasion. And it's pretty surprising what this jet is absolutely capable of. So getting started out at 200 knots, the best turn rate I saw was about 17 degrees per second. 15 is probably more the average, and we'll try and get up away from this altitude warning. It's a bit annoying, so I'll just go up a little bit. And now our next step will be 250 knots. So get ready for this one. Really enjoyed flying this thing. It is a challenge. It was a lot more of a challenge flying the Hornet than I expected it would be. And I haven't used the paddle or anything like that to get extra amounts. But you can see at 250, I saw a peak of about 20. But certainly 15 to 18 was probably more than normal as we went round. 15, 16 there is, and it's just a bit of a challenge. It's dipping around because I haven't got quite the precision on the joystick to or the resolution to really make it smooth at 250, but doing the best job I can to try and hold it around that mark and get us around the corner. So there's some 19s there as well I saw, so it's pretty impressive at low speed, isn't it? At relatively low speeds in a close fight, it's going to be really deadly. So let's get up out of that altitude warning again. Get up away from the desert. Next one is going to be 300 knots. And this is the most impressive performance I've seen of any jet so far, right at this 300 knot mark. So as we get around, what's that turn rate? Let's keep an eye on it as we go around. This 23, 4, 26. I've had to ease off because my speed was getting away a little bit. But 26, but certainly very high in the 20s, does not seem to be much of an issue. Again, I've got to slow down, try and hold it at 300 knots and get going again. But you know, that's pretty impressive. There isn't anything at the moment at 300 knots that will turn 20 degrees plus. But is that a realistic challenge to that? See, we've got 24s, 20s again there, but they're probably peaks, you know, where you get that little peak and then I've had to ease off a bit. So it might be more the 20, might be more realistic, but even at 20 degrees per second, that is still better than every other jet that we've done so far. Better than the 15, better than the 16, and the 18 is doing a tremendous job. So let's get ourselves up to 350 knots. We are about 350 and let's head around again. Now if I'm not super happy with the first circuit, I will go around again and maybe a third time. A few of these ones I've gone around a few times, but it really doesn't take too much time. It's just balancing power and backstick pressure, and really up to about 380 knots, close to 4. If you pull too hard you will lose speed, but once you get to 420, 400 plus certainly, you can pull it on the stick as hard as you like and the thing just accelerates away and you have to adjust the throttle. So that's something worth noting. But 16 to 18 FPS, 16 to 18 degrees per second, so pretty respectable there. That keeps up with pretty much everything. The 16 does about 20 there, and at 400 the 16 does about 20 again. So let's go up to 400 and see how this works out. Again, this is a bit more of a challenge to fly because at 400 it pretty much can accelerate away even at max backstick. And remember, you've got the paddle, you can go from 7.5 Gs up to about 10. But I understand that's not ever used really in real world flying, so it's unrealistic to do that. It's very hard to keep it down. You see I'm creeping up to about 420 as we come around. And here again, it was about 18 knots, 18 degrees per second. About 18 degrees per second sustained. But it is hard, as you can see. I've eased off because I've tried to slow back down to get back to 400 again. And very quickly it gets away from you. But around that 18 mark is pretty good. And again, the 16 outdoes it at 20 degrees at this point in the scale. So you can see everybody's got a favourite speed that they like to be at. See if we can get around this one. I think this is probably the last circuit. A bit of a challenge this one. I was quite surprised because normally the Hornet's really nice to fly, but when you're trying to be as precise as this, it does show how much of a challenge it can be. Rightio, let's get a little bit more speed, head up towards 450. So you can certainly see that back around that 300 mark, I would say 280 to about 320, although some other YouTubers would say 350. But it depends on yourself. I think you just have to give it a go and find out where you find the performance, but this is what I'm trying to do. So 450 knots, we're getting around the corner, getting 16s, 17s. 16's probably more the genuine number. There's a couple of spikes into the 17. So whether you can maintain 17, I don't know, but you can certainly maintain 16 pretty reliably. I'm just ducking into 17 there, and the speed's trying to get away from me again. We've bled off a bit there, and just eased off a bit to try and get the speed back up to about 450. But that's why it's important. You can see how reliable it is, so you can pause at any time at a given speed and check what its turn rate is, and reference it as much as you like. Just slide backwards and forwards, and if you want to see how accurately I'm flying, I just hit my own jet wash, which is pretty, I think that's not bad. Around we go, so back, yeah, holding 17s there at around that 450. So happy with that, and then our last test point is going to come up to 500. So we'll just accelerate up to 500, which doesn't take very much time at all. We've already overshot that. So pulling hard, backed off on the throttle a little bit. Just cutting just below 500 now, just to ease off while I get the speed back in. But here again, the two 404s at the back of this thing will keep accelerating you away, so it's a bit of a balance. So at low speed it struggles with a little bit of a lack of thrust, but once you get going, it's pretty good. We're pretty much nailed it. It's max G, it's 7.3, 7.4, 7.5, you know, that's sort of its limit. As we go around, again accelerating away, and 15 degrees per second seems to be a pretty steady number, 14, 15, and you know, that's a pretty good figure. The F-15 will do 18, and I didn't do 500 knots with the 16 unfortunately, so I haven't got a comparison number to that. So pretty reliable. So there's your figures. Feel free again to pause, have a look. You can see the figures, but you want to be around 300 knots, and you can see the spike against what's expected on the EM diagram. So I hope that was helpful. Feel free to visit letsflyvfr.com, and I'll catch you back here again real soon with some more testing. Bye.